All right, folks, welcome to the Expert Spotlight brought to you by Vacation Rental Life. My name is Matt Ward, and I am a co-founder of Vacation Rental Life along with my good friends Ronnie Bartle and Derek Eaton. We have stood up Vacation Rental Life in 2020 to help small business owners, particularly vacation rental owners of properties 1 to 5, to help them grow their business. It's a currently, we're operating in a Facebook group world, so we'd love for you to join us at facebook.com/groups/vacation rental life. This week, we are starting our brand new Expert Spotlight series. Our guest this week is Durk Johnson. Please help me welcome Durk Johnson.
Yay! Hello,
right.
hello. Welcome,
Durk, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? I mean, I know who you are, and Emily knows who you are, but there are a lot of people on this webinar right now and watching real time as it replays. Is that even a thing, real time as it replays?
Totally
Watching the replay, who
right?
may not know who the prolific Durk Johnson is.
Wow,
Please just
you're
give
very
a
kind.
brief overview of what it is you do and who you are.
Yeah, so I love cleaning up other people's messes. I love the back of the house operations. I am all about housekeeping, maintenance, and laundry. That is my specialty. So on October 1st of 2001, I went to work at Deer Valley Lodging in Park City, Utah. And after one day on the job, I would have changed every single housekeeping department that I had managed prior to that. The principles and techniques were so powerful. And I've just enjoyed the ride since. Been to Park City, Utah. You know, we've been down to Lower Alabama or LA, down there in Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, and then came back moved to the Pacific Northwest to work with a company there, and then went out on my own. And so I am all about back of the house operations, and I am passionate and I love to teach. And that's why I have my little stuffed microbes. This one is MRSA, you know, that I used to teach with. And I mean, housekeeping is just great to do a show and tell and to demonstrate and to, I mean, who wants to talk about pee, poop, and vomit with a dry sense of humor and a dry face? No, we got to have some fun. So
I love it. Yeah. So to that point, to talk about pee, poop, and vomit, as well as the C word, the COVID in the house, I want to share with our webinar viewers tonight here on the Zoom platform. There are a couple different ways to interact with us. Now, I'm going to kind of be moderating and asking the questions and filtering the questions out, but I want you to use the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom window. That will ask the questions to both Durk and I, and then I will manage the questions and get them over to Durk. You can also type some things in the chat, and so I'll be monitoring the chat as well, but keep in mind that chat will fly by at given times depending on who's typing in there. So I just want to start out sort of with COVID as a whole. What are you advising your clients and people in the industry as a whole on how to handle COVID and cleaning COVID and time frames in between COVID? What standards are you bringing to the table?
You know, Matt, you would start with an easy question, wouldn't you? So it's a really good question. And so let's start with what we know. We know that the EPA has a list of cleaning products that have been selected and tested against COVID 2019. And so we want to make sure that the product you're using is on that list or you're purchasing from that list. And then something else to consider on that list is something called dwell time. And so dwell time means the product has to sit on a surface for a period of time for it to kill the virus or bacteria. And so believe it or not, there's a product on there that takes 30 minutes to kill COVID. From a cleaning standpoint, a housekeeper doesn't have 30 minutes to let that product sit on any surface. So there are products on there that will act as quickly as 30 seconds or 90 seconds. And so you want to make sure that your product you have is a spray, let it dwell for the appropriate amount of time, and then you wipe it up and keep moving. And that second piece to that is just that. You want to wipe and keep moving. You don't want to rinse off the product. So that's step number one. Make sure you've got the right product to do the right job. To your second question about time, go ahead.
Before you move on, you said wipe and keep moving, don't rinse off the product. Can you just explain that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are some products where you spray it, you scrub it, and then you have to get a cup of water and rinse off the product, rinse it
Oh,
off the surface. And so you want a product that you spray, let it dwell, kill the bacteria, break down the body oils, break down the soap scums. I come behind with my microfiber rag, wipe it up, and keep going
and
forward.
you don't have to have another layer. Okay.
I
Okay,
don't,
great. All
I
right,
don't,
go
right.
ahead.
I don't have to expend extra amount of time and labor to rinse off the surface and then dry the surface off again. So I'm eliminating some time from that standpoint. Now to the time of the virus. And so what I'm asking and encouraging clients to do is to ask the guests that are departing to turn on ceiling fans, to turn on furnace fans. If the cleaners are coming in right afterwards, to crack a window a little bit so there can be some air ventilation, because we want any and all particulates in the air. Because you know, when you sneeze, you got all those particulates, and when we talk, we have all those particulates in the air. We want to get all those droplets down out of the air and onto the surface. That way the cleaner doesn't have to worry about what's in the air. And then, you know, if you have, as a business reason, chosen to do turns, same day turns, then I would encourage, you know, the guest to be gone by 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. Wait 3, 4 hours for the cleaner to go in, and with all that air movement, and then start to clean. Assuming that you've got a 3 or 4, you know, from your check-ins at 4, that would still give you what, 4 hours to go in and clean a property, assuming that it doesn't take longer than to get it cleaned.
Do you
Or, you
have
know,
any concerns about days between guests?
so again, this is the business decision. So according to the article, the letter that was written to the New England Journal of Medicine way back in March and that was updated in April, they found that the COVID virus lives for 3 days on cardboard and stainless steel. Now, how viable is the virus after that time frame, or after 24 hours or 48 hours? They didn't go into that. They just said that they found living virus, although be it very small, after 3 days. And so if from a business decision, and I know of some companies who have chosen to do this, they're going to say from the time the guest departs until my cleaners go in and the next guest arrive is going to be 3 days or 2 days. So this is where you as a business owner need to be speaking with the county health department in each of your locations to really understand and to know what the county health department is recommending and counseling you to do. Because again, from my perspective, if you as a business owner come to me and say, Dirk, I want to have same day turns, how do I go about doing that? I'm going to tell you how to do that. And if you come to me and say, Dirk, I want to have 2 day, you know, I want 2 day window in between, what do I need to do? I'm going to counsel you on how to accomplish that. So this was really a business and financial decision as you start to go through this decision process of how much time in between am I going to leave.
And just to clarify something, and again, I'm a layman, I'm not a scientist of any kind, and I'm certainly a
Right?
business owner, so I'm more in favor of the quick turn. Um, One of the questions I have is with if the virus, if the report said the virus lived on that for 3 days, that was assuming it wasn't cleaned. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's correct. That's correct. So they put the virus on these different surfaces and then they just tested it. And I will send you, Matt. Let's see if I can multitask while I try and talk and get the link, and I'll put it in the chat. Um, because I mean, this article is really interesting as you start to look at um, how the virus lives and what it does. Now, again, I have not found another article because to add more detail to this is the best one that I've been able to find that provides this information. So give me just a moment here and I will get it pulled up as we go through this. So again, right, the business decision is how much am I going to do and how am I going to manage my time?
Right. And I mean, I think that's the big issue right now too. And Emily asked a valid point, which is who is actually doing full COVID cleans? Because there's a lot of VRMs out there saying they're doing the normal cleaning time due to the time constraints, right? Which is obviously a business decision. Additionally, are people really, are housekeepers being paid more to do COVID cleans?
So in some cases, yes, absolutely. Absolutely they are. Because you think about it. When I'm doing a clean, I have all of these high touch surfaces that I now have to address. I have remote controls, light switches, all these things of that nature. And so I want to make sure that, and then I have the dwell time of the product. And so it's going to take longer. So if I'm a cleaner, if I'm like you, Matt, I've got a property, then I have to allocate additional time to my cleaner to account for the extra surfaces that now need to be worked on and the additional time for the product to work. So as a cleaner, I'm going to be looking at you saying, I'm spending more time, I need more money because it's going to take longer. Otherwise, I'm taking a pay cut.
Well, I agree with that. And my cleaner hasn't asked me for that. And I haven't asked my cleaner for a COVID clean specifically. But is it, I mean, this is the confusing part because I think when we get into this is like, okay, cleaning has been going on the way it always has. And does the cleaner, the cleaner is going into the property knowing that there could be COVID in there. Yes. And they haven't communicated much of anything except maybe I'll spend a little bit more time, but they haven't talked about an increased fee.
Yeah, so it's a really good question as you start to go through this, because essentially the additional money is going to come from one of three places. It's going to come from the guest who's staying to pay there by paying a higher departure cleaning fee, or it's going to come from the owner of the property, if you're a property management company, or it's going to come from you, the owner of the management company. And in your case, Matt, you're both. So it's really two places.
Right.
And so if they're asking for more money, that's where it has to come from. And so, I mean, some cleaners.
But I mean, they haven't asked, right? They haven't said anything to me about anything. So I don't know, maybe I'm just naively hoping that I don't have to talk about it. And I'm just assuming that the cleaner is doing what they need to do and that they know the protocol is necessary.
Right. And for some people, making that assumption for some cleaners, you would be totally acceptable and totally okay. And for others, you may need to provide a little guidance. And so asking questions about what products are you using? What high touch surfaces are you considering as you go through the property? How much additional time are you spending as you clean and do these things? The other thing to consider is what about all the throw pillows and throw blankets and extra blankets? Because again, we have to operate under an assumption that somebody that was in there was sick. So that means, anything of that fabric surface, I have to address. So now let's pause for a moment and let's talk about definitions. So there's three definitions, right? There's clean. I'm going to take something that has mud on it and wipe it off. I have sanitize, which means I'm just going to reduce the number of microbes on the surface to reduce the likelihood or chance that I'm going to get sick. And the third step is the third piece is disinfection. That is where I have a specific product that has to sit on the surface for a specific amount of time to kill the virus or the bacteria, right? As we start at the top of the hour of our conversation. So now I can only disinfect hard surfaces, tile floors, hardwood floors, linoleum, laminate, granite countertops, right? Formica countertops, porcelain, plastic. I can only disinfect those hard surfaces. Any soft surface, couches, throw pillows, curtains, can only be sanitized. And so when I'm choosing my product to clean with, I want to make sure that it's a product I can use on a hard surface and that I can spray onto a soft surface, again, the carpets, the couches, and so forth, to then reduce the likelihood that someone's going to get sick from the virus.
Yeah. So the issue becomes, this is a financial issue. For most business owners, it's risk versus reward, right? Because It's like, I've got to gamble on whether or not I can even afford this, right? Because the minute you start doing this, it's going to be insanely expensive, and it's going to cost you booking time. And the trade-off is the insurance risk, basically the risk of the people, getting COVID and blaming it on your property.
Right.
That's a difficult position for a vacation rental owner to be in.
It is, and I know that there are some things that are taking place inside Congress to protect business owners from this, and I just don't know where they're at on that.
Okay. Right. So let's talk back of the house, because all of this kind of mixes all together, right? Because this is process and procedure. And how do you define, in general, how do you define back of the house?
So to me, back of the house is going to be housekeeping, maintenance, and laundry. That's how I'm going to define that as.
Okay. And so where do you think some of the biggest mistakes are made in back of the house as it pertains to a vacation rental owner who might be that one unit or maybe up to 5 units? Where are the mistakes made?
So I would say the mistakes are made in the following areas. One, chances are they're hiring a contract cleaner to do the work. So if I'm working with a contract cleaner, then I need to have a written agreement between me as the property owner and the cleaner, so it outlines how our relationship works. And then I would, as part of that agreement, have an addendum called the standard property appearance, and that is where I take photos, and next to the photo I describe what I want to have happen in the photo. And so now I'm able to, on paper, articulate and present my brand to the individuals.
So that brings me to the very next question that Karen Griffin had, which is, how do I make the guest confident that the unit has been sanitized properly? Because that's specific to the brand, is it not?
Karen, if we were in a big room, I would give you a great big candy bar. I'm all about giving candy bars and chocolate. So I would give her a great big $100,000 bar.
Well, that's well, that's my favorite. Did you do research on me?
No.
That's my favorite candy bar.
Because I'm going to give people $100,000, right? It's so cool to stand in front of a group of people and say, "Here's your $100,000."
That's good. I should change it out.
Here's an extra payday.
I can't give a 5-pound $100,000 bar away on stage, though. I give away the 5-pound chocolate bar on stage.
Well, yeah, but you can certainly, right?
So,
good bar.
All right, but anyway, back to her question. Yeah.
So the question was, how do I remind me the question again? Sorry.
So the question is, how do I make the guest confident? Because this is relevant to the brand, right? Because your brand is who you are and how you portray yourself in the marketplace. So how do I make the guest confident that the unit has been cleaned and sanitized appropriately?
Yes, absolutely. So this is what I would do. This is where I would start to tell my story. So on my webpage, I would have, on my website, I would have a webpage.
Let me just stop you 1 second. Can you just turn off your video and turn it back on? I just want to see if the lag will come back.
Catch up? Sure.
Yeah, let's see if that'll work. Hello?
Did that work?
Oh, yeah, that worked. Great. Now, tell me the story. What's the story we're telling?
So sorry, I got a new route. Anyway, so here we go. So got to get back. Here we go. So got to have a web page on your website. And it's all about what you've learned during COVID 2019, right? So you're gonna make a post today about attending this great webinar with Matt and everything you've learned from him and all those things. And then in 2 days, you're gonna do another post about what you've learned and done all those things of that nature. And so you're gonna go through that. And then you're gonna pull out your handy dandy device and you're gonna take a video and make a video about what you're learning or what you're doing. And then another couple of days, you're gonna pull out your handy dandy device, you're gonna take a picture. And then another couple of days, you're going to pull out your handy dandy device and you're going to do an audio recording of you talking with your janitorial supply company about what's going on. And you're just going to start on this web page and create this timeline of all these different things that you've learned and all these different things that you've done over time. And this is important, what you've learned And when you've learned something that's allowed you to change on how you're going to do your work, that you talk about that, because people expect that that's the case, that they're learning and changing. And so you have to tell your story. If you don't tell your story, somebody else is going to tell your story, and it's going to have a different storyline and a different ending than what you want.
Oh, I guess. Yeah, because she's talking about the sanitization factor, which you were talking about. Linens need to be sanitized. They can't be cleaned or disinfected, right? So she's like, how do I tell the guests? How do I prove, or how does the guest know with confidence that the units are sanitized? So they can see in photos that they're clean, but
Right.
You're saying by creating this story, this
Yes.
COVID-19 story, and then somehow providing a URL to all of your guests in advance that allows them to go through this lineage, this timeline, and look at the stuff. They may never do it, but if they do, they'll see it.
Absolutely. And not only that, there's going to be this communication, because again, you as small business owners are going to have this great relationship with people who are coming to see you. And so even as part of your welcome email, or as part of your booking email, or whatever, or your pre-arrival email, again, pull out your handy dandy device, do a short video. I know Matt's got some great suggestions on how to do your own video and make it look professional and do all of that, and be able to send that out. And Matt even, I think, has an email piece you talk about as you do that. Do you not?
Say that again.
No, because I know you could send people. You've sent me videos.
Yeah. You can. Get videoemailnow.com.
Yeah. And you just do that, and you just send it out, and that way you can articulate and present to them and say, hey, this is the product we're using. This is my housekeeper, Betty Sue. Hey, Betty Sue. Everybody waves, and then you say, this is what in 30 seconds you say, this is what we're doing in the property to make sure it's ready for you on your arrival. We're glad you're coming. Thank you.
So really what you're saying is it's more work. Like COVID created more work.
Yes, absolutely it did. Absolutely. I mean, what else is there to be,
so
right?
I just want to call a spade, right? Because one of the things as business owners is we also do all the time.
But the thing is, right, unless you could do a general video that you send to everybody, or you could do a, hey, Dirk, hey, Matt.
Yeah, the one-off, yeah.
You could,
so here's the thing about that, Dirk, and this is the thing about business ownership as a whole, is that I think a lot of people don't think about vacation rentals as when they have 1 to 5 properties. As they get past 2, now they're starting to think it's more like a business, right? But when they get 1 or 2, it's kind of like a hobby. They spend some time at it, but they really need to treat it like a business, because too often they're losing so much money from different layers of the business, different spots in the business. They're overpaying for cleaning and not charging enough, or they're not compensating on the listing fees on some of the sites, or they take credit card and they're not price shopping that around. And there's just a lot of things. And so this is work, and no one said it wasn't. In order to have a good business with great systems and great processes and even great people, whether they're subcontracted or employees, then we have to address that. We have to run this like a business. And so it is work. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't do the work and then optimize and systematize and create processes with it.
That's correct, because we live in a beautiful day and age where technology can do a lot of that heavy lifting. We just have to find it. Now, I want to stay on this path, this topic of it's a business. So as a business, as a vacation rental business, you as business owners are expected to have certain things from an OSHA point of view. And that is this: you are expected to have a hazardous communication document. If you are cleaning with products or providing products, you are expected to have a safety data sheet. You are expected to have a bloodborne pathogen policy. You are expected to have all of these things that any large entity would have. You are providing cleaning services to people coming to stay. And so that is a part of those requirements. Again, that's the business mentality as you start to put this together.
Yeah. Good buddy here, Derek Eaton, co-founder of Vacation Rental Life, has a question. Any differences in products and procedures being suggested in the laundry department with COVID? Like differences in detergents, temperature, wash time, and then how many par of laundry? What does that mean?
So par is how many sets of linen am I going to have per turn?
Oh,
So in other words, if I have 3 king beds,
yeah.
I'm going to take those 3 king beds, multiply the king set sheets by 3. That's how many par as a standard you're supposed to have.
Okay,
One
so
bed,
first
one
question
dirty.
then is, does that increase with COVID?
So the par level does not. The
Okay.
par level, there are other things that would attach to the par level that would cause it to increase. In other words, if I'm sending it out to a laundry facility to be laundered, I may want to increase that par by 1. That way, if there's a delay in getting the linen back to me, I still have sets to operate with. Um, uh, laundry. Where I got to pull my thoughts back together. So here we go. So on your beds, you want to go with no comforters, or you're washing the comforter upon every departure. Those are your 2 options.
Whoa.
Well, the third option would be not to wash it. You just leave it there from one guest to the next. Okay. I do have a black light, and I'm not afraid to use it on bedspread. Totally okay with that. So totally okay with that.
So outside of COVID, how much would you deal with the comforter?
So I am not a fan of comforters. I'm gonna play my bias straight out. I am a fan of something called sheet duvets.
Yeah, so Dana just asked, what about washing the duvet?
Yep, I would do a sheet duvet, and a sheet duvet means this: I do a fitted sheet, and then the duvet on top with the blanket inside. No flat sheet.
No
That's what I
flat
would do.
sheet.
No flat sheet. That's what I would do. It's a
And then
sheet.
you wash the duvet every time.
Wash the duvet every time. Absolutely, and it's white. Now there's all sorts of things I can do with white. I can do tone on tone. I can do a narrow satin stripe, a large satin stripe. There's so many things I can do on linen. I've got a video coming out about it on how to choose linen. I've got all these samples, and I'm just so excited to do this video. So anyway, I'll have to let you know when that's done.
Yeah, so Derek is saying, with the laundry, are there differences in detergents?
Yes.
Let's start with that part.
Yeah,
Tell me about the differences in detergents.
Absolutely. So if you make the business decision to wash the linen in a home style washing machine, okay, and there's a whole set of circumstances as to why that's bad. However, if that's what you've chosen to do from a business decision, then the good old-fashioned Tide is where you're going to go.
No cheap. I can't use Downy or All Soft
So you want good old-fashioned Tide.
Wow.
Okay, you want the old-fashioned formula, the original formula. Okay, and you want that to be as hot. Again, you're going to want to follow the linen's instructions as far as temperature goes. However, if you're doing
just go hot.
if you're doing a cotton poly, right, which I hope most of us are, cotton poly, or you're doing a microfiber sheet, then you're going to go hot, and then when you go in the dryer, you're going to go on the sanitize setting.
Yeah, because every dryer has a sanitize setting.
Or, well, the newer ones do. Or you're just going to put the temperature on hot. Now you have to be really careful with the microfiber because the dryer could melt the microfiber sheets.
Oh my God. Okay,
balance.
Stand by. I would just like to default to Emily Vandal's comment. This is possibly the most expensive conversation I've ever heard. Dude, my head hurts. Like, I think
it's not
properties of, we need new dryers, and we need to replace our cleaning solutions in the laundry detergent department.
So this is why I love Back of the House so much, is because it doesn't have to be complicated. I am talking about things that once they are set, you can just work with them. Once you have the original formula of Tide, you're good. Okay. If you have comforters on your bed, that's a problem, because again, we're going back to the trust of the guest. What's the guest going to think when they walk in and see the comforter from that's sitting there? It's going to create a question in their mind. Is this clean or is this not?
Did this get cleaned on the last?
Right. They already know the remote controls are nasty. I grow cultures on remote controls of where I stay. I can prove that. Oh. And so, come on, Matt. Come
I
on.
mean, it's not hotel. I mean, we think about hotels and how our remote control is nasty, but in a vacation rental, we probably don't think that, as
Oh,
much.
I can show you a hotel remote control and a vacation rental remote control side by side. I've actually done samples on both of
Is
those.
it like the Coke Pepsi conversation where they don't, is there a difference?
It's the same.
It looks the same, then you wouldn't be
It's
able
the
to
same.
tell the difference.
It's the same. I know the difference just
Wow.
because I know where I took the photos.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah.
incredible.
So again, right? So again, coming back to the story, coming back to the guest perception. Okay. What's the guest going to think when they walk in from the sheets? Okay. I agree. We're talking about washing the sheets, but we're talking about the bedspread.
Hmm.
What are we going to do about the bedspread? Is it on or off? If it's on, then I have to be able to articulate to the guest that this comforter is clean and it's been sanitized and it's ready for them to come in and enjoy. So you can leave it, but again, you have this whole back end of how am I going to build this trust? Because that's really what this conversation is about. Again, COVID did many things to disrupt the world, and COVID has created a lot of heartache, and it's created a lot of issues, and it's made life miserable and challenging in so many ways. However, in everything, there is a positive side. There's always a silver lining. And the silver lining to this is one of them is now housekeeping is being taken seriously. The cleaners are being given the respect that they should have always had. And it's allowing the hobbyists of vacation rental to see that there are professional things that they can do to make sure that we maintain the standard and build this trust. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
This is the positive side of that is what are my products that I'm using? I'm going to go out and get professional products that are in concentrate. I'm going to buy them from a local janitorial supply company because they're going to know my supply chain. I'm going to wash my sheets on the highest setting, and I'm going to talk to where I'm getting you're probably buying your sheets from a local store. So that means you're going to have to look at the tag and do some research that way as far as temperature and how they should be washed. So I'm going to pause my comment and I'm going to say this about bleach. Bleach has its place. Bleach should not be used on every time you wash because bleach actually damages the cotton fiber and weakens it and strips it. And you will not get the life expectancy out of the sheet that you get. So there, I put some money back in Emily's pocket. Okay.
Okay. Well, you mentioned, I love the tangent. Like this is what's really happening is COVID caused these problems, but it also produced these possibilities and put some more focus back on the people who are doing the cleaning job. And I love that you mentioned that. And I received an email today in advance of our conversation from one of our members of the Vacation Rental Life group on Facebook. So if you haven't been on there, I invite everybody to join us on Facebook. Just search for Vacation Rental Life Facebook group. Boyd Kunko asked this question: what's the best way to let our cleaning people know their value and importance of their job? They are typically the least paid, but highly linked to our success. My goal is to have a cleaning staff that is positive and upbeat and owns the job. I want them to feel like they are what makes us more than just a room. What answer do you have for him?
So I think he deserves the 10-pound, 100-grand bar. I think that's where we should go with this conversation. So there's a couple of things. So the first piece is, are the cleaners contractors or are they employees? Because if they're contractors, I can only do certain things, where if they're employees, I have a whole list of things I can do.
Okay. Understand that for the most part, we're serving an audience that's 1 to 5 properties. Most likely they're going to be contract.
Right. So let's talk about the contractor side, right? So the contractor side then means that I could certainly, I could look at the per property piece that I'm paying them. I could certainly tie this to guest comment card scores that are coming back. I could give them an incentive or a bonus, although in a contractor, you don't call it those, you call it something else. The name escapes me at the moment, to have them a part of what's taking place. Providing gift cards to a nice restaurant in town to say thank you. actually pulling out and going old school, pulling out the thank you card. I know Matt just did a great video on this, right?
Yeah.
You pull out the thank you card and you write on it and you say thank you very much, and you stick $100 gift card in there to a nice restaurant and send it to them. But however, the really important piece here is, you know, the cleaning staff, you know, those contractors well enough that you know what their likes are. You know that little Johnny loves remote controlled cars, and he does RC like nobody's business. And some of those RC tires are $400 for a set.
Yeah. So you get him a $100 gift card to Radio Shack.
Or something of that nature. Right. You can't do it.
They're gone.
They're gone. Anyway, so shows you how old we are, but we're not going there from the Bald Head Club today.
I did drive by a Radio Shack in Florida 2 days ago. Wow.
So you have also getting to know what their likes are. I mean, it may be that their child, in midst of all of this, remote learning and remote stuff's going on, that they're really struggling with an internet connection. So maybe you buy an internet connection for a year to their house, or you get them an older tablet of sorts that's been reconditioned, and you give it to them to use in their family. Buying them a TV and saying, thank you so much. The big, nice, what are we up to? 80, 90, 104, 3 curve? I don't know. So what I'm really saying here is, know your staff, know them, so you know what their likes are and what you want to accomplish with them. And then just be lavish in your praise.
And so Boyd also commented, what about the employee side?
So now on the employee side, you can follow the same path, just in a different way though. So now if they're employees, I can directly, so on the contractor side, if I'm working with a company, right? If I'm working with a company, I can only do that to the owner of the company. And then it's up to the owner of the company to dispense it to the cleaners, because I cannot reach out past the owner to the contracted employee, to the contractor's employee, because that's something I would do with an employee. And that puts me in hot water from a tax liability standpoint. And we're not interested in that conversation, at least not yet. So to an employee, it's the exact same thing. I know my employees. I know what their challenges are. I know what they're doing. I know what they're trying to accomplish. And I know what their likes and dislikes are. All of those things is what I like and what I'm doing. And now I can really tie into bonus, and I could really go into incentives based on guest comment cards. I could go into, X number of times of coming in and completing a clean. I mean, all of these things are wide open to me.
Yeah. I think it just comes down to paying attention to who your staff is and knowing them well, and then just being intentional with that attribution and that compliment and that recognition.
Well said. So I would even say, knowing that the housekeepers own the brand, because they really do, they own the company brand. Knowing that's the case, and increasing what you pay them, doing a profit share, if you will, giving them a portion of there's a great book, I'll have to find it, that talks about setting up this, they don't necessarily have to count on it, but if you can set it up in a way where you're able to share what's taking place. So there's that ownership, actually listening to them and saying, what tools do you need? I attended a conference and I saw this great tool. Is this something that would be helpful?
What if they came back to the owner and said, well, okay, for tools, I think I need these microbes, these COVID and MRSA microbes.
So, so again, right, that's all a teaching tool. So again, this is where the business conversation starts to happen as we start to work forward with this, right? This is where we're starting to look at this. And a lot of it, Bodhi, comes down to you as an individual, talking to them as an individual, and being very deliberate and intentional about helping them understand the importance of what it is. Again, lavish in your praise. Yeah,
I think too often business owners just they don't do a great job of making employees feel respected, warranted, and I do it with just small what I call gifts of gratitude. And many times it's not an actual gift. Sometimes it's just the card, or it's just and to be honest with you, when it's a contractor, one way I do it is I pay immediately when invoiced.
Totally.
Like I don't wait 30 days. I don't wait 10 days. The way we've arranged payment or whatever, the minute the invoice comes in, it pays right away. And that, I can tell you that I am crushing the competition with their other clients when it comes to that, because I know just people they wait 5, 10, 15 days. They wait till the payable cycle. And no, but these are small business owners. And like in my case, my cleaner will invoice me. She'll wait 5 or 6 cleanings till she invoices me, which is fine.
But that's her choice, right?
That's her choice. But the minute she does it, boom, pay right away.
Pay right away.
I don't do the 30-day thing.
No.
And I try to work out payments with my vendors so that I can pay instantaneously. So whether it's some sort of PayPal or Venmo or whatever they want, I just pay that way as quick as possible. Because then it's problem solved for me. And I feel like they feel much more appreciated when I pay immediately.
Oh, absolutely. Right. It's that instant gratification of, wow, I got paid. I got this, that's the beauty of this day and age in which we live. The ability to move funds around is so much better than it ever has been. And there's no reason for us to be sitting on it.
Right. Karen's got another question here. Can you clean the duvet with the insert in a new steam dryer on the sanitized setting?
So let's think about that for just a second. So if something is inside something, it's going to be a lot harder for the detergent to pass through the textile to get to what it needs to do the work. So could you do that? Sure. Do I think that's going to be the most effective way? No, because you want the textile to be able to work and move, because part of the machine that you notice in the washing machine, there's those fins, and those fins create what's called mechanical action. They lift the product up, and as the product falls through the wash or the wash liquor, then the water and the detergent pass through the textile, and this constant falling and folding is what allows the water and the detergent to pass through to pass through the textile to make this work. And so just stop pushing it all in at once. That it's going to make that harder to do. And then when you put it in the dryer, it's going to take a lot longer to dry, because the duvet is going to dry at one speed versus your insert is going to dry at a different speed. And then the other thing you have to consider is it synthetic or is
she's also talking about a steam dryer. So she's saying there's no detergent in the dryer.
Then how are you? So I'm going to plead my ignorance. I've never washed in a steam dryer because I always use water, because I'm getting the detergent has to hold on to the dirt particles in some way, shape, or form. That's the intent of the detergent.
Right.
So I'm going to say, I don't know.
Well, there you go.
I would have to go back and find out, which I'm totally okay doing. I just, that's a
steam dryer, sanitized setting, cleaning it with heat.
Yeah, but see, there's body oils. There's body oils, and there's sneezes, and there's boogers, and there's all these other things that have to be.
So even pre-COVID, you wouldn't do that?
I wouldn't, no.
Doesn't mean, and so let's be clear about something. It doesn't mean you can't.
Right.
It just means you wouldn't, and you wouldn't recommend it.
That's correct. That's correct.
Because you want to have the cleanliness as much as possible. You know way too much about washing machines. I've never met somebody that knows that much about a washing machine, that knows that the thing comes up on the fins and comes over, and then I'm like, who?
That's what I do, man.
Who knows that stuff?
This is my passion.
Yeah.
Because I recognize we're talking to a group of people that has 1 to 5 properties.
Yeah.
And so laundry, on the scale that I would recommend, is a challenge. And I'm relishing this challenge because I'm thinking of everything that I would tell somebody, that's got 50 properties or 20 properties, of what they would do and how to do that. And I know from a 1 to 5 property that doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here thinking, how do I apply what I know and still be able to get it done in a proper way? So
Right, because here's the thing: there's people that clean their own properties, and then there's me. I'm a remote manage my own, so I have a cleaner come in. And so early on, what would happen is they would take the cleaning away. They would take it to their house or wherever they did it, and so we had the par 3, where it was working with the beds and all that, and we still have a washing machine and dryer on property, right? And
for the guest, absolutely.
yeah, but now I think like more of that's done there while the rest of the house is being cleaned, right? Because you can wash and dry a load or two in the 2 to 3 hours.
Right. And therein lies part of the challenge of where I'm at in my head, because we want the water to be at least 140 degrees.
And it won't be in a house, will it?
It will not. It will not. The ideal temperature is 160. So that's why
if they're taking it away and they're doing it at their house, that's not going to work either.
It's not the same, right? So this is where I have to look at chemistry different. So this is why I'm saying, so at the beginning, so somewhere in our conversation, we talked about the original Tide. Okay. The original Tide is really good. So we're going to put that in our cap and we're going to sit on that one. So now, how do I use the chemistry to offset my limitation of my hot water? So when I go in the dryer, I can do the sanitize setting. So that works. So that's why we have to talk about, because then I have to make sure that the the washing machine is not being overstuffed.
Right.
Because I need that mechanical action to do what it needs to do. And then I need the dry time. And so there's all these things that play into that. And so this is really an interesting conversation that I would have to think out loud more with this. And actually say, how am I going to do that to this group? Because you're not going to go buy the smallest a commercial washing machine you can get is a 25 pound. You're not going to buy that. You're just not. You're going to do it in a residential machine, and we need to make sure that you have access to the products to put in that residential machine for it to do its work.
Yeah, because most of us are just buying all or whatever at BJ's or the local grocery store.
Right.
Because we're not like, I never thought about that temperature issue. You know what I mean? It's like, that's a problem that could be a challenge here. Dana says not all communities have commercial options. So if using a home machine, what cycle or temperature can be used? Or is that where the Tide comes in? Yeah, that's where the Tide comes in, because he's saying that we can't get to 160 and we can't even get to 140 because homes are regulated at probably 120?
If that. Think about a hot tub, right? A hot tub sits at 104, 103.
Yeah, I have a hot tub here. Sometimes it goes to 104.
Yeah, right. 105 is not. That's right. And Emily, yes, I did steal my curtains from Johnny Carson, just so you know. Yes, I did. So this is the problem that Dana said. So we got to think this through, right? So if we can only get 100, so the hot tub is heated from the actual machine itself. It's not, right? Right. So I think, without going too far down this path, because the water is the water temperature is the water temperature inside the property. So that's where the original Tide comes in. And then when I pull it out and put it in my dryer, assuming that the linen's going to allow this, I'm going to put it on the hottest setting. And the other thing is,
with regard to hot water.
Yeah.
Should we run an empty load in the washing machine, pull up the lid, and put a thermometer in there to see what it's running? Does that matter to any of this?
Well, no, it doesn't. It doesn't, because you're not going to get to the temperature of 140s to start. So that's why I go back to the original Tide. It was designed around a specific temperature in the house, and it's a really good formula that can take and break down the body.
So really, your suggestion is get out of all these other cleaning solutions or detergents and get with original Tide. Yes. It's the best compensatory option for not having extremely hot water.
That's correct.
So,
and I would go.
That's fantastic. That gives us options if we're doing our own laundry.
And that's what I'm saying. I want to make sure that we have options for you to work with. So,
but what if we're not doing our own laundry? What do we tell our cleaning?
Well, so either right. So this is where the education piece comes in, right? You do the Tide, and you put the dryer on the sanitized setting, or you take it to a dry cleaner and have them wash it commercially that way. Now it's going to be more expensive.
Every
They'll
time.
press
Can't
the
do it.
sheets. They'll
Can't
press
do
the
it.
sheets and do all that.
Now you're
Again,
giving heart palpitations to Emily again because it's just costs are going through the roof.
All I'm doing is providing options.
It's all your job is options. You're the options man.
Because if you have 100% cotton sheets, they have to be ironed to look good. And you're going to take them to a dry cleaner to be ironed.
No, you're not.
You're not going to put them on the bed crinkly. You're just not doing it.
Listen, if you're renting your unit and you're getting like, $500 a night, like Linda Nealon is for her beautiful cabin out in Lake Tahoe, which, by the way, if you haven't seen that listing review, check it out on our YouTube channel, folks. It's fantastic. She should be ironing her sheets every time. But my little condo in Fort Myers getting $85 a night is not getting iron sheets.
But that's because you're using a cotton poly blend.
Okay, maybe so. Yeah, but okay, so
if you're using,
so I guess the higher end the property, the cotton will be.
So I'm just saying, if this individual in Tahoe is going to go with 100% cotton sheets, she will have them pressed because you're not going to put a crinkly pillowcase on the bed. It's not going to provide that image that you want. That's not the brand.
Yeah,
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
However, to your property in Fort Myers, you're going to go with a 60-40 cotton poly split. You're going to sit right around 280 to 300 thread count on the high end, and you're going to launder it and be done. That's it. And you're going to put it on the bed. You're going to pull it out of the dryer.
I have to say, you talk about thread count like I talk about side-by-side ATVs. You're like 280, 320.
Right.
Like you're just rattling it off. I love it.
Right. You don't go over 320 because the fiber is too small. The fiber is too short. It doesn't last long in a commercial environment. And truth be told, if I could figure out the chemistry, I would suggest, because how the sheet feels comes down to the chemistry in the machine, not the material. I can take a 180 thread count sheet and make it feel like a 500 thread count sheet based on the processing. In a
hotel, right?
Environment. Right. So that's why I'm saying I come back to how do I get the chemistry to do the work for us that I could get it on the other side?
I think we just gave you the
so fascinating.
Best challenge ever to solve.
It's a good one.
It's like incredible.
I'm just going to call my old soap vendor and say, hey, how do I do this? And he'll
yeah. And Dana also has a follow-up question, which is with the Tide, like, is it just straight up powder or can it be liquid? Can it be the pods?
The original formula. It's got to be the original formula.
You don't care how it comes.
I don't care how it comes.
It's delivered. We just have to find it in the product.
It's the original formula. That's correct.
I'm sure we can buy it on Amazon, right?
The original comes in powder, it comes in a liquid, and it comes in pods.
Just don't eat the pods, people. They're not candy. Well, and so that's the issue you have with these pods, putting them in the house. Make sure they're locked up or something.
Well, right.
Vacation rental.
That then opens up a whole nother piece, right? Any cleaning, if you're going to leave some cleaning products out for people to clean up with, it's all got to go on a high shelf in the laundry room or on a high shelf somewhere else, and that's also, and I worry about the dishwasher tabs being under the sink. I worry about some of those other things under the sink because a toddler is going to toddle and do what they do. They're going to open things up, and our homes are not child safety set.
So you recommend maybe like the glass cabinet that's next to the sink, use that instead for detergents or something?
You totally could. Absolutely. You totally could.
That's what I had to child-proof my kitchen when I let Derek eat and use my property.
Really?
Just because he gets into everything.
Goes all around, right?
Yeah. So he had a question. With regard to these. Is there a non-scented version of the original formula Tide for? Yes. Scent sensitive consideration.
Now you have to be careful. Now you are going to have to advertise that you do use Tide, because some people are allergic to it, and those that are allergic to it are going to call you and say, "Do you wash with Tide?" They know in advance.
They'll know.
Call. Yep.
Okay. Next question. What do you think of bamboo sheets for guests?
Dude, where'd you get them? I have a bamboo towel. I think bamboo's a good option, but I haven't been able to find it on a commercial side.
Okay.
I have not.
I don't know. Linda, type in the chat. type in the chat. Are you using bamboo sheets for your Tahoe property?
So again, again, what the sheet is made of doesn't matter to me. It could be hemp, bamboo, cotton, I don't care. We just have to make sure that we are able to launder it in a way that we're able to break down the body oils and we're able to get all the other biohazard stuff out of the sheets so that it goes back on the bed appropriately. That's what I'm after. That's the key piece. Because that's why the mechanical action is important. That's why the time is important. That's why the temperature is important. And that's why the chemistry is important. All four of those items come together to make this laundry work and to take care of this linen. Because you will never, the closest you will ever be to your guest is when they take that towel and put it to their face or take that pillowcase and put their head on that pillow. That's the closest you will be to the guest. You want your linen.
Should I take the towel and just kind of rub it on me so that they can like really
feel you? Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. That's what Derek does out in Hawaii.
That's fantastic.
But anyway, I just think,
same way that you feel the same way about organic products too, because Linda was asking about that in general. Just it's not about the product per se. It's really about how clean it can be, right? In the process.
So organic from a cleaning standpoint, or organic products to put on, for the guests to use? Because again, right? So we have to think about this. So now we're going back to our COVID conversation.
Well, because if the people put stuff on, it's coming off in the shower or onto the towels and into the wash, right?
Right. So now whatever I'm using to clean with, I have to make sure that it's on the EPA list to kill COVID, right? I have to make sure that if my other products are doing what I need them to do, which is breaking down body oils and soap scums, and I have to make sure that I have a safety data sheet. So that means I'm not home brewing my products.
Right.
I have to have a safety data sheet per OSHA compliance because you are professional innkeepers. That is the category you fall into. And because you are professional innkeepers, you have to abide by these professional standards.
Yeah. Linda, if you can check the chat, which there's a chat button on the side, it'll kick out a chat panel for you. I'm sure all the attendees would love to hear where you got your bamboo sheets. I'm sure Durk would love to hear that as well.
I would love, I would. I was given a long time ago, I was given a bamboo towel as a sample, and it was a wonderful towel. And I cannot, they're just not manufacturing them on a commercial side, And again, right, you want commercial products because they last longer, and you can get commercial products in onesies and twosies and in the quantities you need. That's not a problem. That is not a problem.
Yeah.
Just like you should be buying your cleaning products from local janitorial supply companies. Yes, you can get them from them without being a huge client. I buy from mine once every 4 months, and Gary knows my name. He looks at me, says, "Hey, Durk, you again? You're after your product?" Yep, and it's ready and waiting. So, great relationship.
Yeah, we've learned an awful lot. Linda says she buys Cozy Earth bedding. They're about half off as a vacation rental. My guests ask often where they can buy them, and they last a long time. So I tell you what we'll do. We'll have a conversation with Linda offline. We'll get that link and we'll get her to post it into the Facebook group with the URL of where these things can be purchased. So that way anybody who wants the URL can jump into our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/vacation rental life. We'd love to see you all there. Absolutely. Great conversation, Durk, digging into this COVID issue, the cleaning capacity, the challenges and business operations related stuff. I'm super thankful that you've come on our inaugural Expert Spotlight series for the Vacation Rental Life program. Greatly appreciate it. Can you just tell everybody watching and our listening and watching audience and all the fine people out in the world of the interwebs where they can find you, how they can contact you, and if you have anything for them, let them know that. Feel free to share.
So would love to. If you have questions or whatever, you can reach out to Matt. Matt can get it to me. I'm on LinkedIn, so look up Durk Durk Johnson. You can message me that way at Housekeeping ST durk.com. You can certainly reach to me that way. Email address is durk@housekeepingst.com. And so, yeah, I also have a knowledge base that I've created, as well as some housekeeper training and information that way. And that's available at I will have to type that in here. That is available at housekeeping.tovuti.io is where that's at. And there's a subscription service with all sorts of how-to videos and what to do and all sorts of knowledge-based things for you to participate in and to learn on. My goal is to have over 1,000 videos in that knowledge base here at some point in time in the near future. So
yeah, and if you follow Durk on social, you'll learn an awful lot. He's over on LinkedIn, and you don't do too much on Facebook, right?
I do not. I do not. Although, since you're on Facebook, I may have to repent of my decision to not be on Facebook and may have to do something that way. So.
Well, our folks here at the Vacation Rental Life would love to see you pop into the group every now and then, answer some cleaning questions. We'd love to be able to tag you as an expert in our group. And we're super honored that you took the time to come on so late in the evening here, East Coast and West Coast. I don't know. It's probably like 12 in the afternoon, but nonetheless, we love you. When we told some people that you were coming on, they were like, "Oh my God, I love Durk. It's gonna be awesome."
They're very kind. It's fun. Again, I love cleaning up other people's messes. I love doing things, and happy to assist whatever I can do. And Matt, I'm grateful. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We're so happy to have you. And as a reminder, folks, we'll repost this video right in our group on the Vacation Rental Life on Facebook. If you're not already in there, please join our group. And we'll see you next time for the next Expert Spotlight series and next week's Vacation Rental Roundtable, Tuesday night, Eastern time, right here on Zoom. Until next time, don't forget to live happy, smile a lot, and high five everyone around you. Take care.